Hello, I am so pleased to introduce you to Adrienne Roucolle Wormington. Born in Toulouse, France on June 14, 1875, Adrienne immigrated with her family to the United States in 1878, making her way to Fort Collins by 1888 when she was about 12 years old. Here's a portion of the federal census from 1900 showing the members of the Roucolle family. Adrienne is highlighted in yellow. She was listed as 24 years old with author as her profession. We'll learn more about her work in just a moment. And here's a photo of the Roucolle family in the mid to late 1890s at their home in Fort Collins. It was located at 2504 North Shields Street. Standing from left to right are Fernard, or Frank d'Asterac, Adrienne's uncle, then her father Armand Roucolle and mother Marie d'Asterac Roucolle. Seated are grandfather Pierre d'Asterac and our star Adrienne, and then standing holding her doll is Marie Antoinette, Adrienne's little sister. Note that Adrienne is posing with her writing materials. Aside, Adrienne's grandfather Pierre d'Asterac, who was sitting next to her in the previous photo, was a civil engineer and the creator of this well-known bird's-eye view of Fort Collins in 1884. He drafted prominent buildings at that time around the border. Recognize any? He even included his own house on Mountain Avenue. The original of this drawing is at the CSU archives. Back to the Roucolle family. This is a satellite view of present-day North Shields and Highway 287, showing where the Roucolle home was located. In the 1880s, their little farm was considered 3 miles north of the city limits and was full of grapevines, berry patches, and fruit orchards. This area has maintained much of its rural character today. Adrienne and her family loved celebrating their French heritage and sharing it with the Fort Collins community. They called their home Lafayette's Place, and on October 19, 1898, they held a party celebrating Marquis de Lafayette's 1781 victory at the Battle of Yorktown. This party sounded incredible, with French quizzes, door prizes of 100-year-old French linen, and even a game of Pin the Sword on Lafayette. And check out this buffet menu. Though the Roucolle home no longer stands, the building where Adrienne and little sister Marie Antoinette attended school can still be seen today. This is Michaud's School, also known as District 11. Here it is when fairly new in about 1881, then a little bit later in 1910 or so, and then as it appears today on the east side of Shields. If you catch a glimpse of it as you drive by, give a little thought to Adrienne, Marie Antoinette, and the many kids who attended the school over the years. At the Michaud School, Adrienne revealed her flair for dramatics, appearing in several school plays and recitations. These 3 articles from the Fort Collins Courier newspaper date from 1888 to 1891 and highlight Adrienne's dramatic stylings in school productions. I really wish we could have all heard 13-year-old Adrienne recite a piece that she wrote called Famine. Adrienne's writing didn't stop there. When she was 16 years old, she published a serial in the local paper entitled His Aunt's Fortune, a sweeping melodrama rife with plot twists. She also published articles promoting winemaking in the region, inspired by her family's projects at Lafayette's Place. Adrienne's piece de resistance came in December of 1898 with the publication of her first book, The Kingdom of the Good Fairies. This book is a collection of several connected fairy tales tracing conflicts between the good fairies, who are based on lovely plants like roses, and the bad actors like the evil fairy Nux vomica, also known as the strychnine tree. What's especially sweet about this book is the dedication. It reads, "This volume is tenderly dedicated to my sister, Marie Antoinette. The fairy tales it contains were written to relieve the tedious hours of a long convalescence of that little sister. If our young readers find in the reading of the book the same pleasure she experienced, we will be contented." The Kingdom of the Good Fairies was ready for the holiday season in 1898 and was carried in local bookstores and in Denver. The book's illustrations are photographs of Adrienne and Marie with family and friends by prominent Fort Collins photographer Stephen Sechner. I love thinking about them all planning and setting up these fairy tale shots. So fun. There's little Marie as the fairy queen. Despite Marie Antoinette's seeming recovery in 1898, the family traveled to Eureka Springs, Arkansas, to seek further treatment for Marie Antoinette's illness in 1900. Though doctors had a positive outlook, the family sadly reported that Marie Antoinette had died from her illness on July 3, 1900, at the age of 10. She is buried here in Fort Collins at Grandview Cemetery. Adrienne shared how stricken she was by her sister's passing in the local paper. Over a year later, Adrienne was back to writing, producing and starring in a play she had written called A Tragedy of Love. The play was performed in November of 1901 in the Opera House, shown here at about that time. Adrienne playing Elvira Danton, an accursed child. Pictured are Mildred Sechner and Maddie Prendergast, who played a coquette and Elvira's maid, respectively. Over the next few years, Adrienne published a number of plays, books, monologues, and several serials that appeared in national newspapers. Her work tended to be quite dramatic. The Victim, for instance, was a tale warning against the use of alcohol and was performed in Denver in 1913. By the 1910s, the Roucolle family had relocated to Denver, and on June 30, 1912, Adrienne married cattleman and banker Charles Wormington. They lived at 1271 Gaylord Street, and Adrienne's parents later sold Lafayette's Place in Fort Collins. In 1914, Adrienne gave birth to her only child, Hannah Marie Wormington. Her name may ring a bell. Hannah became a prominent archaeologist who served as the first curator of archaeology at the Colorado Museum of Natural History, today known as Denver Museum of Nature and Science. Her fascinating career spanned over 60 years and would make for a wonderful presentation for another time. After the death of her husband in 1923, Adrienne continued to write and also taught French. She enjoyed traveling, visiting Canada and France with her daughter, and eventually making her home in Miami, Florida. She died in 1945 at age 70. She is interred in Grandview Cemetery along with the rest of the Roucolle family. I'm happy to report that several of Adrienne Roucolle Wormington's books are available to read in their entirety for free online, including The Kingdom of the Good Fairies. If you're needing a little break from the present day, I encourage you to explore the magical world created by our own Adrienne Roucolle 124 years ago.